Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here today on Conscious Business Zone with a wonderful couple that I'm really excited for you to meet, Ann Salisbury and Greg Meyerhoff. Hi, guys.
Hi.
So I just saw you last month, so this is pretty cool.
Happy Tuesday.
Excuse me, Valentine's Day. Yeah, that was very cool. And they did a event called A Valentine for Your Soul, which was very sweet and very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So what I wanted to do is start the conversation because I have this book, and I'm not done with it, I'm sorry to say, but I started reading it, and it's quite remarkable. The idea of intuition and using that as a tool is very, very, I think, it's one of the most important tools you could have right now with all the life changes. And so I wanted to ask, I have lots of questions about intuition, but I'd like to start with Ann because you had this skill as a child, but then shut it down and then brought it back out. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, when I was little, I thought everybody could know what other people were thinking. I thought that they saw energies in the room like I saw. And I found out that wasn't the case. And, years later, I asked my mother, by the way, who was that lady standing on the landing at our house going up the stairs? Because when I go to bed at night, I'd see her standing there looking out the window. And it just, I was just like, who was it? And my mother said, what lady? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, fine. There's another thing that I just feel strange about. Like I'm seeing something somebody else isn't seeing.
Right.
And then a few years later, the neighbors down the block, they found a nice cannonball in their backyard. And they put it on a pedestal out by the street. And then the city started putting plaques up in the park behind our house about the Civil War. And then I realized, okay, that lady who was standing on the landing looking out the back window, she would never turn around and talk to me. She was always kind of obsessed with looking out there. I realized, okay, fine. She must have been a Civil War woman waiting for her loved one to come home.
Oh.
And so that's why she ignored me. That's why she was there. Here we were on a Civil War battlefield where I grew up. So it wasn't.
Just have a few dead bodies walking around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And but you weren't really bothered by them. They didn't really participate in your life. It wasn't like a scary thing.
Well, when I was really little, I was quite scared because I would feel like there were little foxes under the bed. Oh. And they were always trying to nip at me. Oh. So, when you're little, at least when I was little, I had a baby pillow, a little bitty one. And so I'd put it right in the center of the bed and I'd line myself up and I'd lie straight in the middle because I figured they were small. And if I stayed really quiet and I decreased my breathing, they would know I was there. And so that's how I went to sleep every night. And years later, I figured out, okay, these were just negative energies that were trying to nip at me.
Yeah.
And I translated them into little foxes because that's all I knew.
Oh, wow. Well, and that's really amazing that your situation was, it sounded like in this book, your grandmother knew that you had special skills, but your mother may not have. Is that correct?
Well, they both appreciated me because I was artistic. I could draw without trying. I could write poetry very easily. So they appreciated that I felt tapped into kind of the greater ether. And, but they, they were living everyday lives.
Right.
And so, I felt appreciated by them. It's just my mother had a more stressful life than my grandmother did, so she didn't have the opportunity to.
That's grandmother's deal.
Later.
Grandmothers get to spoil and send them back.
Yeah.
Well,
so, yeah.
And Ann's mom was very much into metaphysics, and she was researching UFOs back with, who was it, John Mack?
Right.
Oh, really?
She was on the board of a psychic group in Kansas City.
Cool.
And she met all these really cool people back in the 70s and 80s. She bent spoons with
Uri Geller.
Yep. Uri Geller. She's like, oh, I can do this. And she brought him all these bent up spoons. I'm like, wow, that's cool.
That's cool. Well, we'll talk more about your mother because this is part of her book. That the story about your mother's there. But I wanted to keep going on this because this is really to let people know how talented these two people are. It's remarkable. In this first part of your book, you've got a foreword by Norm Shealy, Dr. Norman Shealy, who, if anyone knows about the Hollis University and also ICM now, is housed in Kansas City with him. He's a visionary man, and Anne worked with him, right, as a hypnotherapist.
Yep,
right?
That's how I started my practice.
He wrote the foreword, so that's like cool, very cool. And then, but the next part of it is this lady, Barbara Razor, who's also a tremendous intuitive. She says that Anne Salisbury is accurate 90% of the time, interpreting what the guides convey to her. That is one amazing statement. So, and you feel that way too? You feel confident like that? Oh,
and Norm is the one who referred me to Barbara to evaluate me. So, I feel very privileged to have her do that. So.
That is so. Well, I mean, come on, that's validation. Both of these people are tremendous validation of your skills. Although I've experienced it multiple times, so I love what you guys do, and I love the attitude. It's a calming, loving, supportive way that you interact with people that really nourishes their soul. It's not so. Some psychics will tell you stuff, and you know it's almost shocking, or it doesn't seem like it's supportive. And everything I've seen of you, what you do is amazingly supportive and very loving, very nurturing. So far we've got Milana Fiore saying aloha. We've got Elsie Ritzenheim here. Hi, Else. We've got Marie Mason's here. Thanks for being here, you guys. If you have questions, we've got some incredible expertise here on learning how to be intuitive and or having intuitive coaching support from these two amazing beings. So I want everyone to know if you have questions, please throw them over the fence here on Facebook, and I'll share them with them, because you've got an opportunity to really learn how you could use this tremendous skill to better your life, really.
So just to kind of talk about what you just mentioned about us, and we have been on our own spiritual path. I know I started about 73, excuse me. And Anne started about the same time. So we've had a lot of our own development that we've done. And so we've seen a lot of people do a lot of different things, spend a lot of money, as I know you have, Kathy, on our own development. So when we have clients, we always look at what the client is there for us to learn. Because a lot of times it's like, oh, they have an issue. But we turn around and say, well, okay, that person came to me for a reason. Now, where in me do I have that issue?
Of course.
And it's kind of our own development, because early on I said, well, I want to be enlightened. And of course, I wasn't enlightened in the first year. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try year number 2. But it's kind of a slow, we become enlightened more and more. But what I want to get back to is that we do our own work. And so we're very proud of that, and we have each other. So if something comes up, okay, why did you create that? And why did I create that? So we have each other to bounce that off of. So that's kind of, we look at it as our development. And if we can help people in that, we do that. So
okay. Well, Marie says, I have a question in being intuitive. Will you ask, give me a little more so we could ask it, okay? And Mary Lee is here from Georgetown, Texas. So we're starting to get some people here. And as I said before, Else and Melina, if you have questions, please feel free to learn how you could be more intuitive, or if there's any other information that wants to come through. So, what's great about the way you guys work is, first of all, you're very professional. You work very, you feel very safe. You make the person that works with you feel very safe. And it feels like it's a step-by-step, so it's not so scary, because change is frightening for most people. And also, you can see everything. So, it's like dirty laundry, all the things that I might be hiding about myself or my background, you can see. How do you deal with that? Because with people's fears of being seen.
Well, usually by the time someone gets to us, they've done other things. And so usually they're not afraid of being seen.
Okay.
Now, when I was little, and I would see, what was going on with the people around me, the adults, and I'd ask questions and I'd be told to be quiet because I didn't know those things. And what am I talking about? That's in a public setting where they didn't ask you and you're just sharing why is that man over there in love with this one? I thought he was married to that one. They don't want to know that. But in a client situation, they've come, they have a question. And so it's kind of like they want you to see them. Right. Because the more you can see and the more you can understand, oh, this little thing's connected to that. And they're like, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of that, but it makes total sense.
Right.
So it just makes therapy go really quickly because they don't have to share the story. Right. It's there. So
when you see the story, do you just get to release it, help them release it right away? I mean, when you're seeing it, but then do you have other ways because of your superpowers? You guys do. The two of you together is amazing. Amazing.
Well, you can share.
And Greg was going to say something. I interrupted. Sorry.
I know what I was going to say. It's we've been doing this full time together for 20 years, and I was in the corporate world, and then started my own spiritual practice after that. You've seen pretty much everything. It's not like somebody has an issue that that you haven't seen. So it's not like it's shocking to us or shocking to them. It's more, oh, okay, yeah, I've seen that. Okay.
Well, they have unique flavors.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you know, the themes, right?
Right. We all have similar issues. Okay. So that was to answer that. So to get on to the other thing is while we're working together, I have this gift of being able to see people's energies and seeing whether they're aligned, whether there's blocks in it. And so I focus on seeing the person as whole, not looking at the issues,
Right.
but looking at somebody as their wholeness, because that's easy. And when they focus on that wholeness, the blocks seem to just dissolve.
Right.
You know, it's like peeling an onion, though. It's not completely gone, but you can get a large chunk of that by just seeing the whole, seeing the block, having them focus on it as I'm focusing on it too, with raising the vibration. Then it kind of dissolves because you have a higher vibration in with a lower vibration,
Right.
and it dissolves the lower vibration. So, and then Anne is able to see why the issue is there, which I don't really see. I see more of the energy, and then she can see why it's there, and then she can work with the person's emotional and mental state to allow them to understand it a little bit, because a lot of times you need to understand why the issue's there,
Right.
and you can release it that way. So she sees why, I just see what it is, and then we feed back and forth, and she'll say, well, what do you see, Greg? And then I'll look at it again. And so it goes back and forth when we work
That's
together.
so cool. It's like, yeah, that's so cool. So Marie finally wrote it all out, and it's long. Is it okay? It'll take you a little while to read it. Okay. The question I have is related to a personal experience. I've always had this gift of being empathic and psychic. Recently, I had gone to bed early in the morning when everyone was asleep. I had just climbed into bed, and I heard footsteps on the stairs and hallway. I felt this creepy presence in my bedroom. I thought I was just hearing the house settling, but the presence was very strong. So I called out and said, hello, can I help you? I'm sorry. Anyway, no response, but the presence left. My question is, how do you handle this sort of situation?
Well, we've had a lot of those. And it's kind of like you want to claim your space, right? So she did great by saying, and what was her name?
Her name's Marie Mason. She has
Marie.
the same last name as me.
What do you know?
Yeah, Mason girl.
So Marie, you did great by saying, you know, hello, basically, you're here. I acknowledge you're here. What do you want? And that's really the first step. So you acknowledge you're experiencing it. Then you put them on notice. Hello, I notice you're here. What do you want? While you're doing that, you want to claim your space. Like we teach how to just imagine you've got about 2 feet out around you. That's your area. It's your space, your universe. You own it. Nobody else gets to play in it. And so that helps you stay safe and feel secure when you're dealing with these weird things. And then by doing that and feeling secure that you have this space, then you can say, you know, why are you here? What do you want? And it may say, hey, I'm confused. I want to know where the light is. And so we always put a column of light out at the corner of the property, you know, so it's not like directly affecting us. It's out a bit, and say, hey, look, you can go put your toe in it and see if you like it. And if you do, go for it. So, and we, you know, you can have a conversation. You don't want a being like that to keep tracking you down. You want to hold your space, but you can easily help.
Good. Okay, so she put, good to know that I'm not alone in this situation. And she said, yay for the Mason girls.
Yes.
And set boundaries, good idea.
Yeah.
And Olivia Parred's here. Hi, Olivia. Please, we're talking about intuition with some incredible experts. And if you have any questions about intuition, that actually Elsie and Olivia might have some great questions. So when you're teaching intuition, I know you do these coaching / counseling support sessions, but you also teach, correct?
Mm-hmm. Right. We have a school.
When you're teaching, are you finding, I'm seeing that people are really waking up right now. And the first step that I see is them being empathic, which is kind of like intuition. They're more sensitive. They're not sure where their boundaries end and the next person's, because they're feeling everything. So are you finding that too, that now that people are starting to wake up, that they're empathic and then it leads to higher intuition?
Yeah, we're finding that they're more stressed out now, more agitated, because there's more energy that's coming into the universe that's available to wake us up. But if it's hit a spot, then instead of waking us up, it feels like, get away from me, you're bugging me. There's too much going on here, out of my face. So that's why there have been so many people in accidents recently, car crashes and all that.
I've been seeing them all over. It's like wild how many. It's not snow related either.
I mean, so many people. And so we just have found that acknowledging it's not just you. It's like the universe is bringing in more energy, and the energy is neutral. So you can either use it to wake up, or you can resist it. And the resisting is what causes the issues. So then let's say you get in a car accident. So then your higher wisdom has brought you the opportunity to wake up in another way, right? And so if we can accept that it's just another opportunity, yes, it involved crashing the car, but, then the intuition will keep coming. But when we keep resisting it, then we keep getting hit.
Right. And I think that's true, that you see people either riding the wave or being splashed by it, being wiped by it. Yep.
Right.
So to add one little thing is as people are empathetic and they're empaths and they're opening that ability, what happens is they start feeling the world out there.
Right.
And it's not real pretty in a lot of places.
Right.
So it's hard to grasp that, because they're thinking, oh, I'm empathetic and I can feel people's energy and that's cool. But it's not all pretty out there. So when they touch that, it can actually have some negative effects on them, because they'll withdraw. It's like putting your hand on a fire.
That's right.
It burns. So if you can stay back and look a little bit more from your sixth chakra and view it and keep a little bit of that radar in, then you can look at the world a little better and open up your psychic abilities without having to feel everything.
Total sense. Yeah,
if most people are in resistance because, it doesn't feel good, so they're doing alcohol, they're doing coffee, they're doing anything you can think of just to feel normal.
What's that?
to touch them, to kind of see how they're doing, you're going to hit a bunch of sparks. I mean, it's not going to feel good.
Right. Well, what I'm seeing is that these energy waves are so strong, because I'm psychic and intuitive too. And I actually, some of the waves feel really good. It's like cool. I would feel like superheroes, really. Right. It's like, wow, I got
right in the way.
Turbocharge. And then the next one is like, what is that? It feels like molasses. It's so sticky and slow and, difficult. But the empaths, because I've worked with a lot of people that help empaths, and the big challenge I think they have, once if you haven't ever felt anybody else's energy and you start, you can't figure out if it's you or them. So you walk in a room and you were totally oblivious to anyone else in it before, and then all of a sudden, oh, tension, stress, fear, whatever's going on, and you were totally unaware of that before. That's a pretty big change, and that's what I see this energy doing to people, which I think is good. I think all of those emotions, being aware of them, is great.
It's good, but that's why we teach the classes we do, and Greg focuses on that with personal phone sessions.
Perfect.
That, because if you get out there and you keep touching this and you start thinking it's you, you could go crazy, literally.
Right. Well, yeah, and I still think most of the stuff in your field is a gift for you to see if you have triggers to it. So in some way it's a gift if you know how to manage it, and that's where you guys come in, where you teach how to do that. I do have some questions if it's okay. One is from Olivia. She said, is there anything I can do to help me see energy? Now, Olivia, what about feeling it? Do you feel it? I think she does. But
well, we really want her to see it more than feel it.
Okay.
So basically, the best is to start meditating, right? So that you're aware of your space, you're aware of your quietness, so that when something else comes in, you notice it, versus everyday stuff is just too much and you can't identify what is what. So it's a constant. I started meditating when I was 16. Greg started when he was like 18 for, hours a day. You don't have to do hours a day now, but you do need to kind of enter that space of quietness so that you can hear it.
Right.
See it.
Perfect answer. Perfect. And she said she does feel it. She did put that. Then Elsie put, these days, intuition goes beyond simply asking, what is your gut feeling? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Could be indigestion, so you got to be careful. So intuition comes to each person differently. Okay. Some people feel that this is the right thing to do. If you're clear enough, then it's not indigestion. It's a clear message, right? Some people will just know it, right? That's using your seventh chakra. You'll just know that it's right. Now, others, and I use this a lot, is synchronicities.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
and when those start happening, you're in flow and you're getting intuition.
Yeah.
But the key to intuition is you have to ask a question. Okay. People are like, oh, give me the answer. Well, what answer to what? Okay. Yeah. It's like the little bar on Google, right? If you don't put a question in, you don't get anything. Perfect. So the number one thing for intuition is you ask a question, and then you wait for some kind of response, and then you act on that response, and then you write it down and see if it was right or not. So the more you activate it and ask questions, like I use this example of finding my keys, right? So I look in the bowl where my keys are normally, and if they're not there, I go, uh-oh, I put them somewhere. Where are they? So that's the next question. Where are my keys? And then as soon as I get an image or a thought, go to the coat rack. So I'll go to the coat rack and I'll check, and this happened. I went to the coat rack and I checked my fleece and it wasn't in there. I thought, well, this is funny. My intuition is pretty good. So I asked the question again, where are my keys? I got a picture of the coat again. I thought, well, this is crazy. What's going on? And if I had a thought to go somewhere else, I would go do it, because you want to get the intuition, then you want to act on it to see if it's prove it.
Right.
And then, so I asked again because it's getting close. I had to get to a meeting, and I saw the fleece again. And I said, okay. So I went over to the rack, and I realized that Ann's fleece was right underneath mine. And she had my keys in her fleece, which is identical. So my intuition was right. It's just that I didn't look a little bit further.
Take your own pocket.
It was in her pocket.
It was.
So we discussed this process in our first book, which is—
I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, Eureka.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
our first book. And it talks about, and there's a whole process in there on how to activate your intuition.
Yeah, this is from my doctoral research.
Oh.
And so it's more academic. Well, it gives a process that's called ACT and LEAP. And that's really useful for like following what Greg said in a briefer way to basically you're training your brain. It's like muscle. Got to work it out, right?
Practice.
So, yeah.
You want to get good at golf, you practice. You want to get good at skiing, you practice. You want to get good at intuition, you practice.
Okay, so I've got some more for you. You ready? Okay, so first I wanted you to know that Marie said when you were saying about using other stimulus, she says chocolate makes me feel normal. So,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, dark chocolate. Let's at least say that. Okay, so anyway, Carol Husman says, I need help identifying my true path and to break free from limiting beliefs. Being the sole provider stops me from branching out to the unknown. Is there work that can be done to decrease these blocks?
Yes.
Okay, next question.
Okay, so Carol, this is their website.
So this is what we do in our practice every day. Help people determine their path and then get to it, right? Because we always say, keep your day job until you're comfortable enough and things get rolling. And then, because sometimes your path isn't that far off. It's a little tweak, right? It can be what you're doing in your off hours that then makes your hours at work more fun. It's kind of like everything goes together like a piece of art, right? And so we look at where she is now, and then where you want to be, and then I see clairvoyantly like little strings that show what the steps are to get there. Right. Now, some people, they're like, oh, that's too big a step. I think I'll just stay where I am. I'm getting scared. I'm not going to move. But most people, then they come back and they're like, okay, I slept on it, because we always say, go sleep on it. Let your intuition come to you some. Then let's talk again. And then you notice, oh, I had this idea on how to move from here to here. And oh, that makes total sense. I hadn't thought of that, here to here. And so then we just help you see the possibilities, and then your intuition kicks in and takes it from there. And it's really fun. But that's basically what we do in our practice.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, and that's what I do, a version, and not like you, but my version of that for marketing, for helping people launch their business. Because I actually see a movie, and they usually things have changed a little bit this past year, but usually I'll see the end result and then they show me the backstory.
Exactly.
So even the name of the products they might have or the books. It's really interesting.
It's like they show where they want to be. So then you get the image of where they want to be.
Well, I assume I'm talking to their soul. I'm assuming but do you remember stuff? Because I don't remember. I have to a lot of times record things because I don't know what I said.
Well,
no, because I kind of get out of the way, and their soul kind of uses me.
We see a lot of people. And when we're in session, we're in a trance-like state a little bit. You're altered, as you know, you're altered. You're looking clearly at their soul, as you said.
Right.
Not looking at their personality, and our eyes are closed, and most 99% of our sessions are by phone. So you watch and remembering it later, if they, there's a lot that we see, so you don't remember it, but we take notes, and they record it, or they take notes.
Yeah.
And it's really them who has to remember what the image is. So
Yeah.
we help them see it, because they're the ones who are instigating it in their lives, right?
Right. Well, sometimes people cry when you do it. I mean, because they recognize, and then some people go, "This is crazy," So you just never know. And I just sort of do the best I can. That's all I know. But I want more questions. So not about me at all. Here we go. So we've got the next one is Olivia asked, any tips for help meditating?
Well, from somebody who meditated close to 2 hours a day for 10 years,
Oh my God.
I think you can move into, I call it pondering. Okay. And if you turn your life into more of a walking meditation,
Oh,
I think that can be more effective, and that gets you out in exercises too. But if you can go out and just take a walk and appreciate nature, appreciate the sun. I mean, we live in such a beautiful place, and we get sun 360 days a year here in Colorado, that just appreciating the sun, because I think, Kathy, we were in China, and most of the time we were there, we never saw the sun.
wow.
It was like, and then we showed this guide that we had a picture of the sky in Colorado, and it had elk in it. And she wasn't even looking at the elk. She was looking at the blue sky. She's like,
what it looked
look
like.
at that sky. And she says, I've never seen a sky like that her whole life. She was
because of the pollution.
She was 20 some years old.
Oh, that's so sad.
The walking meditation really opens you up, and it gets movement, because right now it's very important to have your energy moving, have your spirit energy moving, which a lot of people have shut down. Practice grounding, getting set. So I would recommend more of a walking meditation now, because it really, to have to sit down is not as important anymore. And a lot of meditations, when you're sitting down, take you out of your body.
Right.
And the goal now is to bring all that spirit into the body, so you can use it and create with it and help ground that light into the earth, which is what we need. So,
and we teach, we have, besides gointuition.com, which is our private practice site, we have transpersonalhypnotherapy.com.
Okay.
That's our school. And we give certification trainings in intuition and hypnosis. Okay. And as you know, we have classes, online classes on how to be intuitive, the way we teach it, to get in your body, to be more intuitive, because they're all different kinds of meditations. So as you know, our Intuitive Skills 1 course, which you had years ago.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That teaches you how to get in and do it. And then Greg also does sessions teaching you personally by phone. So,
and we do live events now and then, and I think we're going to do another one in April.
Oh, great.
Where we just access, clear things out, and then you access your intuition more.
And then another thing that I can add to how to meditate, Greg was saying, be outside, give thanks for nature. Giving thanks is a form of meditation. It cleans your space. So I would say do that.
Great. Okay, so here we got Sandy Young. Hi, Sandy. How do you get out of your mind? Oh, well, anyway. I have attempted to meditate for years, sometimes guided or not. still just sit there and no connection. So that's the same answer as before, or?
Yes and no. It's a very good question, because we're so inundated with so much stimulus now that our mind doesn't shut off. One way to do it requires focus. So if you're walking and you focus on the sky, you're focusing on that, and that's where your attention is, as opposed to the thoughts. Or you focus on the grass, or you focus on a dog walking by. So that's training. This is, again, practice. You're training your mind to take back control of it. And that's, or just sensing what's going on around you. How does the wind feel? How does the sun feel on my skin? And it's not going to be overnight. It takes a little while to calm that mind down.
Because she's right. When you start meditating, it can be very agitating, because all those thoughts, they're used to getting in there and confusing us. And so it can take a while, but you want to keep with it and just stay in that thankful state, appreciating nature. That helps a lot.
So Rosemary wrote, I realized -C with real eyes, she means, by paying attention to the synchronicities. Nothing is by accident.
We agree.
We're right.
That. Yes.
Right. And Milana Fiore moved here from Hawaii, and she wrote, and she lives in Boulder now. She says, I've been in love with the sky here since being here. So, and that's compared to Hawaii. So, okay. And Livia said, I'm heading for the ocean this afternoon. You talked her into it. Okay.
Okay. We want to come.
We did, yeah. So, Marie's got another question. Can they talk about how to learn how to discern your emotions versus other people's emotions?
That's a trick. That's why we teach taking the intuition out of the third chakra and moving it up to the sixth, because it's a muddled, kind of messy, amoeba-looking experience in the third. But seeing, and when you put the other person on the outside of your universe, right, then you can tell the difference between you and them. But when everything's mushy, you can't.
The question is, I always ask, is this my energy or somebody else's?
Yeah, that's me too.
Yeah. Because if you're feeling good and then all of a sudden in a moment's notice you're feeling bad, well, that's not you, that's somebody else. Or you walked into a cloud of energy. Like if you go into a haunted house and all of a sudden feel creepy afterwards, what the heck is it? I mean, it's not you. You just walked into creepiness and you picked it up. So I would say, like you do, Kathy, just ask, is this my energy or somebody else's?
Right.
And then it takes practice to be alert, because you could all of a sudden feel bad and then forget that somebody, when you felt bad, when you started feeling bad.
And you also want to be kind to yourself. We have a lot of clients who call over the years and who say, I cannot believe I slept with that guy. I cannot, or I can't believe I married that guy. So that you could say was their energy in your space, kind of convincing you to do something that you hadn't thought of. You hadn't thought of sleeping with them. You hadn't really thought of marrying them, but they're like, hey, we got to get married. We got to get married. And then you're like, okay, I must want to, because I keep having these thoughts.
Yeah.
Wow. If you set your space, then you wouldn't go out with them at all in the first place.
Wow. Yeah. We don't even want to go to that conversation because I'm still dealing with that. But anyway, I want to make sure that everyone knows about so everyone's loving what we're talking about. Thank you guys so much. Sandy said, I'm so grateful for the guidance. Thank you, Kathy, for having these wonderful people to help and guide us. Bless you all. And Marie says, good questions to ask if this is my energy. Is this my energy or mine? Well, she means theirs or mine. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this book too. I mentioned this wonderful book that I'm reading, and then this book, I know the story because I got to hear about it when you first brought it out, and it was an Evie Award winner, which is SIPA, which is an organization I used to be on the board of directors for. So it's an award-winning book. And this book is about Anne's story with following her mother passed while Greg and Anne were living with her, correct? But you stayed in touch.
Yeah.
So would you talk about that a little bit? Because I think that'll even fascinate a lot of the audience too that may need help with support from losing a loved one.
Well, my mother was pretty feisty, and she didn't want to live with us, but she needed to. And so for the last 3 years of her life, we lived together. And she was 90 towards the end, and she fully planned on living till she was 120. She told us that, and but her little body was giving out. She was having dementia. And so she was not going to leave. And then we realized, okay, she's like, you need me. I can't leave. You need me. She was doing the initial edits for all her books. She loved it. She hadn't really worked in her life. And so, but she had a fascinating mind. And so she put it to work. And so when she was getting close, we were like, okay, Fissy, that's her name from Phyllis. What if you were like an investigative reporter from the other side and you shared with us what you were experiencing, and then we'd write it, and then you can edit, you can come through us and still edit. So you've still got a great job. And then she's like, oh, okay, I could do that. And then she got ready to go, and she was talking to all these people on the other side, and we recorded it. And so we got the before and then the after side. And it was absolutely fascinating. And it's a gift that she's given to the world after, her whole life being alive. Her biggest gift she gave was from the other side.
Oh, isn't it amazing? So how do you feel? I mean, first of all, you seem very okay, non-emotional. I mean, most people, when they talk about their parents dying, they have that emotional expression, and you're really okay with all this because you're still in touch, or
right? She's around.
and having more fun than ever, probably.
Yeah, she's advanced so far on the other side. It's just a joy to watch what she's up to. And
isn't that great?
Treat. Yeah.
Well, but there is another side of that. Okay, is that if you haven't grieved and gotten through that, then there is that feeling every time you think of somebody. Now,
right.
My first wife passed away when I was 38 and of a brain tumor. And I consciously said, I'm going to spend a year grieving. And I did. So anytime I felt something, I would sit down, use some tools, but I would grieve. I would cry for like an hour in a fetal position. But that got that grief out. Now, it wasn't just for her. It was for grief of my life, grief of lifetimes.
Okay.
So having removed some of that makes it easier for us. So if somebody is having trouble with having somebody lost, then there is some grief that has to be cleared.
Right.
Feel more neutral.
Right. Whatever you resist persists. That's that's saying, all of those old sayings, they're golden, really.
I know.
Really. Well, do you want to talk a little bit more about this? Because I think this is such a big issue. There's a lot of baby boomers leaving the planet now, and with all these higher energies, there's going to be people that aren't going to their bodies aren't going to really like this new energy. So, I mean, the idea that there isn't really death, it's just another stage. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, a lot of people on the other side don't know they're dead.
Oh,
So we talk a lot to clients who've had loved ones pass, either parents or spouses or children or pets. And we help them on the other side kind of clean out their energy, get moving a little bit, reorient. You know, it's just a different vibrational frequency, right? So it's
right.
kind of like when you're asleep, you don't know you're asleep. You think you're doing things, right? Well, when you're awake, you don't think about your dream state. You're just here doing things. And it's the same with being on the other side. And so we really enjoy talking to people on the other side through clients because they learn so much. I mean, imagine you're talking to somebody, you thought, oh my gosh, I lost them. Well, you didn't lose them. They're right there. You just have to reacquaint in the new situation and kind of get to know, how do you communicate now?
Right. That's so perfect.
Yeah.
And you can, and most of our work with somebody on the other side is not just getting information, is doing a healing. Because whenever somebody requests to talk to a parent, not only do they heal, because we're working with the energy and information, but the person on the other side heals, because they're in a place where we're talking to them, we're doing some work with them energetically, and it's very powerful. And we always think, okay, well, my parents died, now they'll be my guides and they'll help me make millions, and you know, they're going to help me in this life and they'll become my guides, everything will be great. And then that's not really the case. They may or may not be your guides. They may not know how to make money. So
Yeah.
it's then you can help them on the other side, which is a really different perspective, because they can be as lost as you are. I mean, if you're lost in this world, when you get over there, they can be lost too. They get disoriented. They don't know what life on the other side's like.
Yeah.
So it's like ending up in the middle of London, and you have no idea where you are or where you're going. And so you need somebody to come up and say, oh, let me tell you, you're right here. You've passed. And if you want to get over to the classes, you take, Piccadilly Circus over here, and you go to this place over here, and that's where you can get classes and meet your higher self and everything else. And then next thing you know, the guide's gone, and you're like, oh, thank you. So you go and start taking classes. So it's a cycle. Everything you do in this life not only affects your transition, but affects your afterlife. And then all the classes you take in your afterlife affect this life if you decide to reincarnate. So it's this cycle of life, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, yeah, we're almost out of time. I want to make sure that everyone knows how to get a hold of you. And I have to say, my father died when I was 21, 22 years old. And so there were so many times I wished I could have asked him. And I believed I was kind of Buddhist at that point in my life, and believed in reincarnation, but I didn't really know how to talk with him. So, and that's, so I guess, does that mean he's still hanging around?
You can contact anybody that you have a connection with.
I got a bunch
like, I got to talk to Abe Lincoln. He may be like, who are you? But to talk to your father, you can do that at any time. So we're happy to do sessions like that, because
that would be great.
Connect.
That would be very healing for me. Wonderful. So Beth Potts is on. She said, hi, Ann and Greg.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Yeah. So, well, here's your website, gointuition.com. I can't recommend these people enough. If you feel that you want to go to the next level and have a much more joyful loving experience in this world. These are some wonderful people to help you and guide you to that next level. And if you're also interested in learning, they do have these courses that are online, or it sounds like you're going to be doing some in person, that these, you can see from how they interact, they work great as a team, energetically and emotionally, to create a safe space for you to go to the next level. So I'm so glad that I'm friends with you guys, and thank you for agreeing to be my guest today. And people are saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you do that on the show with Kathy? Not now. No, we don't want to do that with Kathy on the show. Thanks, Milana. But, well, no, we've already done an hour, so I don't want to go too long. But we can always come back. You can always come back.
Lots of fun.
And Milana, they're in Denver. They're outside of Denver in the foothills in Evergreen. So you can easily, they were speaking at an event in Boulder not too long ago, last month. So anyway, we'll make sure everybody knows how to connect with you.
Great.
And thank you so much. Is there anything else as far as how you'd like them to connect with you? I've got your website, and then the other.
Yeah, just if you go to gointuition.com, or also our other site is transpersonalhypnotherapy.com. We have loads of free articles and the blog on Go Intuition. We've interviewed many wonderful people there. We've got articles that are interesting on intuition, and then on the hypnotherapy site about hypnosis. So you can learn a lot through our free videos and articles. And then as you have questions, call or email us. We're old-fashioned. We pick up the phone.
And Beth wrote, I worked with Ann and Greg for several years. They are wonderful.
Oh, thank you, Beth. We appreciate that.
Yeah. And we are doing Thursday night, Ann talks to her higher wisdom, and we're doing a session Thursday night on Zoom. So if anybody's interested, just email us and we'll send you the information, and that'll be live and you can ask questions.
Yeah, it's under events at Go Intuition. You can find it there.
Yeah, well, I'll be putting all the information that I can in the information above where the video is. So we'll be putting enough because everyone's asking for information about you. So I hope that this helps support everyone through these new energies to live a much happier and more fulfilled life, and see life in a whole new way of creative possibilities, because that's really what we came here for, not this other trauma drama.
Right.
Stuff.
We came to do it together. So we want to thank everybody for being here today, because it touches our hearts. So thank you.
And we want to thank Kathy for the work she's doing, because she's touching a lot of people in these interviews. So thank you, Kathy, for your work.
Sure. This is fun for me. I mean, and you know, for business people that are busy running their business, they don't have the knowledge of the resources that I have. I think I've known you guys, I don't know how long, and I've been doing this for 20 years. So, so just even pulling people in that I know or I've worked with or I've admired could give huge resource base to people that are that really make a difference in the world.
Right.
So that's why I did this. So anyway, well, thank you. I didn't. Thank you. Yeah. Well, you know me. Anyway, thanks everybody, and I'll put all the contact information in, and please do yourself a favor, check this out. If you can be on Thursday's Zoom call, you'll see how they work together. It is just a beautiful example of what I wish I had, of a relationship like that is amazingly magical, that could help you. So
you, Kathy.
Our love.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.